In a sense.
Very professional.
Oh, of course, we are totally professional. Okay. We can do this like nothing happened. I'll edit everything out for the version I'll put on the channel later on. Okay, we are fresh start in 3, 2, 1. Hello there, this is the AcousticBrony, and welcome to the 3rd episode of Crepuscular Bronies Discuss. Today with me, once again, Byter. Welcome to the show.
Clark.
Oh yeah, there goes the professionalism. 3 episodes and we are already done with it. I think it's kind of refreshing. Could be worse. Yes. Okay, anyways, yes, as the title of the show may be indicating to you, we are going to talk about shipping today. The reason why we are doing this, I just released a video on my channel about my personal thoughts about shipping, but in contrast to the, or in difference to the episode so far, we are still experimenting a bit, and we are going to take it more loose. So we are just...
We're not going to try and stick on the topic.
Yeah, exactly, because last time I was I tried all the time to go back to the topic, and the discussion Byter and I had after closing the podcast felt more interesting than the discussion we had in the first place live. So yeah, we are just saying screw all the rules. We are just talking about everything we want, and yeah.
Yep,
the official topic of the episode is more or less our starting point, and we'll see where we go. One further thing, we are also considering letting other people join the podcast on as guests. So we are not really sure how we are going to include this, but the main thing is, or the most important part for you to do this is to add my Google Plus profile as a contact for you on Google Plus, the ANY Pony or something. I'll put the link into the description of this very video. And yes, so I have the possibility to just ask you as a guest into the podcast. So maybe we are thinking about a part of the podcast more at the end, where other people are welcome to join us. So not from the very beginning, and we'll see how it goes. So, okay, shipping. I guess I'll go first because I just...
You're the one who brought up the topic, yeah. Exactly. What were your thoughts you brought up in your video?
Exactly. So I'll just sum up what more or less my idea about, or my thoughts on shipping are. If you want to see the full and more scripted, and by this more sophisticated version, just check out my video. It should be the last video before this one in my uploaded videos. And yeah, my thoughts on shipping. Usually, I don't mind it very much. I think it's a funny aspect of the fandom that you can go there and say, hey, I totally support this and this couple, and even so there is no really, there are no hard facts to support this kind. The only thing where I think it's a bit critical is when people start taking it too serious and are getting offensive about their made-up couples. So this is a part I don't really like. So if you ship a couple, you just think it's cute, or for whatever reason, hey, that's totally great. I myself kind of happen to get sucked into a few shippings myself. If somebody told me, I don't know, 6 months ago, I believe, I started reading more fan fiction. If 6 months ago somebody would have told me, you will end up and ship 2 background ponies, I would say, yeah, sure, yeah. But, well, I kind of happen to, like the idea of certain ponies being together. Fun fact, none ship I support includes main characters. I don't know. Main characters are boring. Everybody can ship main characters. Yeah, and the last more provocative idea. Provocative. Thank you. There goes my English again.
Huzzah!
Huzzah! That's why I've got Byter here to help me out with my English. No, seriously. Last video I mentioned in my video was, that there should be maybe some Canon topics, Canon shippings inside the MLP G4 universe. And for once, I demanded a straight Rainbow Dash. Not because I hate the idea of Rainbow Dash being homosexual, but because this was one of the very early critique points some not really smart people had about this show, like, ooh, she's a tomboy and she's rainbow color, she must be gay. And I was like, And yeah, I want to show the finger to it. I want MLP to show the finger to those people who thought this. But on the other hand, I am not against gay characters, on the contrary, so make somebody else gay. Take one of the more feminine ones, like Fluttershy or Rarity. This just would be fun. So yeah, these are my thoughts on shipping in a nutshell. What are yours?
That was a lot of thoughts. Where to begin? Well, I'm not really much one to actually pay much attention to shipping. I just watch the show most part. As a fandom creating shipping, I don't really mind it too much. It's something that you see in a lot of fandoms that have very deep characters generally, or characters that people get very involved in. So the fact there is shipping is actually quite a good given, and it's not something I'm not really that much against. And it's just pure it's pure fanfic of just the idea of putting several characters together and seeing how it works together. However, I think there does come a question when you apply it to the show.
Okay.
Like when you say Rainbow Dash has to be straight to get back at all the people. Well, that means you're reacting to the haters rather than telling a genuinely good story.
Okay. Okay, then that's a fair point you have there. Okay, I demand Rainbow Dash being straight in a good story, presented in a good story, so it still is good.
Well, you see, we have had some romantic bits in the past, or stuff where characters are attracted to one another or whatnot, but they usually are quite important to the plot, and there isn't usually that strong in the show. I mean, what have we got? We have Rarity after the prince.
Oh yeah, Prince Rhubarb.
We sort of have Rarity and Tom.
Oh, Tom.
What were the other ones? Cheerily Big Mac, obviously.
Yeah. This was one of the examples I mentioned in the episode. But Shirley Big Mac was not real because they are just friends, at least as they are presented at the end of the episode. So the whole romance between them was really just the.
Well, that was a good thing about the Hearts and Hooves Day one. It was a sort of Valentine's Day episode.
Mm-hmm.
Where it was like, it took the concept of, oh, wouldn't it be nice if this one and this one were together, and had that as the motivation of the CMC.
Yeah.
And it, did the twist, instead of, just it being about the relationship, it was actually about how awkward it was to force those two characters together. And then when they were forced together, how annoying that was.
Yeah.
It was a good twist on the thing of doing a Valentine's thing, and it wasn't totally about the relationship. It was it was about wanting them to be together, and then their being together being completely painful.
If you just think about it, it is kind of putting a mirror in front of all the shipping fans done by the show. So look at this. What happens when you start shipping? Please be reasonable about it.
Well, I think they went. It's going around it with a bit of class on the topic. That it's going to be it was a Valentine's Day themed episode. It could have been really boring or just all about the relationship. But this one, they made an interesting story out of it. And that's that's the point I made on your video, that we shouldn't say that we demand shipping. Yeah. We say if there is an opportunity to add in a relationship of some kind, and it serves the story, that's the way we should do it. That if the relationship folds naturally into the story.
Yeah,
then it will be a good addition.
Mm. Yeah, I guess that's the thing about my videos, that there is always this comedic entertainment part about it. So yeah, when I say at the end of my video, I demand, yeah, it is not.
Well, when you gave your opinion just now, you said you demanded Rainbow Dash be straight.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Shown straight.
That's the problem with me. I'm always kind of trying to transport my message in a more entertaining way. But yeah, I totally agree. If you would really go there, because I don't know if you followed the other comments on the video, because there kind of came a few discussions.
No, I didn't follow them all. No.
Yeah, because there also have been a few more serious arguments about the whole topic, and that, for example, about a gay character, that it would be important not to make it all about her being gay, so don't put her in the spotlight, because then this it would still be connected to this unnatural feeling, because if you put it in the spotlight, that this showcases that being gay is still is still something not normal, because you put it in the spotlight. No? Something normal wouldn't be in the spotlight. Yeah. So yeah,
you're drawing attention to it.
Exactly, but in the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, to be serious for once. Yeah, when I say I demand this and this couple, of course, it shouldn't be this couple for the sake of being this couple. I played this whole demanding thing as kind of a political statement, and I don't know, political, whatever, kind of statement-like. But sure, if they really would go there with an episode, it still is important to make it a good episode, to give it reason. So not just go there and do it because in the moment they would make an episode for the sake of making an episode about I don't know, a straight Rainbow Dash, a gay Fluttershy, whatever.
That's my point, though, that the show hasn't had much of these elements unless it was the Valentine's episode, it was Rarity's Dreams in the gala, and the wedding episode.
Exactly.
Every single time, the stuff that's going on is related to the relationship or whatever's going that is in that episode, and those are never really the focus.
Yeah. So I guess if they make an episode like it, it should be a strong story first. But if they have the chance to go there, because you can make an interesting story about a relationship, this is not the problem. You just shouldn't write the episode for the sake of writing an episode about a relationship and see how the story falls together.
Well, there's the difficulty in the show being completely serial, and Hasbro not wanting to have any big changes in the show.
Yeah, but it is a question, is there really... I mean, yes, it is serial, but there are the small changes from season to season. So,
well, two characters possibly hooking up is quite a big change.
Yeah, it is. So, but we are close to the end of the season, so I don't believe they're doing it in the third season. Even, rumors.
No. There's a question whether it would actually be workable within the current format of the show.
But yeah, you don't know what the future holds, because MLP is, because of the commercially strong, or the monetary strong fandom, because we have a lot of adults, a lot of working people instead of children who buy the merchandise. So there is a high possibility that Hasbro will go along with the show. And
I'm not sure about that. Hasbro is still going to be Hasbro, and the executives at the top think like, well, executives rather than artists. So they are going to still be trying to carry along their current line, probably.
Yeah, that... I don't know if, but the point is, so where we agree on is that most likely they will not cancel the show soon, as long as it is.
No, they won't cancel it. I don't think they're going to change the formula much, though, to try and suit the audience.
Yeah, I know, and I am also not really expecting them to completely change the what was it? Episodic character? No.
Serial episodic.
Yeah. The serial episodic character of the show, but rather. Making the small changes. For example, near the end of one season, they establish a couple, and so for the next seasons, they just can take it as a given fact and don't have to improvise too much. So, I'm not really sure if I want to go there.
If you had background characters, it's a lot easier to work with than the foreground characters.
Yeah, probably. But
the whole dynamic of the main six would change when some of them start getting involved.
I don't see this as a bad thing, because sooner or later they have to mix something up. Because sooner or later you can't stick to a formula in a show without altering it at least a bit forever. Because sooner or later
because the Simpsons have never changed after how many seasons?
No, they changed little facts. They let characters die. They introduced new characters. So
background characters, yeah, which we need to work more on in the show if they want to keep it going for as long as Simpsons.
Okay, but if they push background characters to being so recognizable, being more than just literally characters in the background, but get their own personal traits and being more supportive.
They should do what the fandom has already done with them, basically.
Focusing whole episodes on them, or
yeah, or having them feature more and slowly bringing out their characters.
Yeah, I
depends for each one.
I guess the problem is that in MLP, since it is a Flash animated show, background ponies really started out literally as some ponies in the background, and they copy-pasted the same ponies in different situations, and within the same screen, often the same same ponies.
Bonbons.
Yeah, exactly. I just rewatched Putting Your Hoof Down this afternoon, and the crowd at the show of the Minotaur, Iron Will, yeah. The crowd at the show was about 1/3 Colgate. Yeah. Colgate, yeah. It was like, wait, this blue-white man is there quite often. So yeah, they kind of used very few models for this one. So yeah, background ponies, because the problem is the background ponies are really just this, ponies hanging around in the background, and what you suggest is that they kind of take these background ponies and make them to supportive characters, like...
it's one way of expanding the series and also having the option for more interesting stories if you had way more characters bouncing around. Because you have just the main six.
Yeah, but I guess this wouldn't work as well, because if they start focusing enough on background or supportive characters, then it would be fine to make this whole pair up idea to put this whole pair up ideas into this supportive characters, as long as they are just more than characters in the background who just happen to be there. So
there's a lot of avenue for expansion and a lot of avenue to annoy the bronies. It would be an interesting avenue for expansion if they wanted to keep this thing going.
Yeah.
But I think what my point though was with the any shipping or romanticism in the show is there's generally not that any at all. That it's very normal, it's very bland in that regard. It doesn't look into it in any detail. It's often about the characters and their friendships to one another.
Yeah.
And when they do put it in, it's because it felt natural within the plot. So, but I think if you're going to talk about shipping, it should be you think of the story first and then possibly think about shipping afterwards. That you're doing it the wrong way around. Okay. That you should think of story first, then shipping if it seems natural, rather than we need shipping. What episodes could fit into this formula?
Yeah. Then, as I mentioned earlier, this was more like provocative statement. So yeah, I demand. But yeah, it should come if they are going to do something like this, they should do it at a point where, yeah, there is an idea first. So some of the writers is like, hey, I have a great idea for a story.
Hey, I have a mandate from Hasbro that they need to do the wedding episode where they got the prince and princess, and it has to be on Canterlot, and they have to show the balloon. Oh well, I'll think of some way of adding. I'll put a villain in there and make it some kind of mystery reveal story.
I don't know. I guess such a shipping episode should be really kind of slice of life episode, because there are a few of them, and why not make one about shipping? For example, a little bit like Hearts and Hooves Day, but without the CMC and without a love potion, and just make it an interesting couple. So there wouldn't be a problem, I guess.
Well, it depends which couple, what situation, what the hell's going on.
Exactly.
Which is why you need to go story first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's where I wanted to go there with this. So if one of the writers has a nice idea for a romantic story, then they should produce an episode and not say, okay, we need an episode of this kind, so get an idea, because then it can be a good idea, but yeah, chances are.
I think the show has been very strong without shipping regardless, and a lot of fiction out there already deals with romance and relationships already. That how many stories end with the hero getting the girl?
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of been done so much to death that it's kind of just average. It doesn't have that same impact. Which is why it's more interesting to us that we have a show where it hasn't been the feature, where the possibilities of adding it in comes back in later.
Yeah, I agree with you in parts, because as I mentioned in my video, in my scripted video, I like the idea. I like the fact very much that MLP does not focus on relationships and so on.
Yeah.
Because this is a strong aspect. But on the other hand, it is a very facet-rich show who takes a look at on a lot of different aspects of life. And one aspect is, sooner or later, is relationships. And so, in a not forced way, I would like it to go there at some point.
If the story writers felt like they could cover it in as much maturity as they has done, then sure. If they can twist the tropes and make it interesting.
Exactly.
Which is what they have done, at least, the wedding, the two part of the couple was, their actual relationship.
No.
Is fairly standard and fairly obvious, but one of them was not acting as Twilight thought she should, and that leads up to the whole, reveal and everything going completely crazy. And Prince Brewblood being a subversion, and also the Valentine's Day one, it not being, it not having them just being made for each other, but instead people trying to make them for each other.
Yeah.
That they've always done an interesting twist to the standard relationship situations that have made them at least mildly interesting.
Yeah. So the task would be have an interesting story first, but the way they should probably do it. You remember the one scene you referred to quite often, the scene at the beginning of Sonic Rainboom, where Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash just play off each other with this whole louder scene.
Yeah, it's one I've referred to off camera, haven't I? Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So nobody knew. He does this a lot. Always in one scene. No, but
it's obvious the impact that scene had on many people, or at least how memorable it was.
Yeah.
The remix of Fluttershy's ass with the yay, what people always remember of Fluttershy.
Yeah, I know.
With her going yay. And what's the setup for that thing? It was basically you put Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy in a field, and Rainbow Dash wants someone to cheer for her, so she gets Fluttershy because it's her only friend, and then tries to implore Fluttershy to be loud, and Fluttershy can't. And that's basically the scene. But it was a really good scene. It was really engaging, and it set the scene for all the rest of the stuff to go. It had its place within that episode.
Yeah, and why was the scene so good? It was so good because we got these two characters.
Two good characters.
Yeah, who work in an interesting way, who interact in an interesting way.
Yeah, you literally just put them in a field and played them off one another.
Exactly.
And everyone enjoyed that. And that's always been a great strength of the show, is the depth of the characters, at least in season 1 and 2.
Yeah. And that's what I wish for a couple. That they take two characters who really are interesting with each other, because let's be honest, Princess Cadence and Shining Armor are not interacting with each other. They are just a couple. They are just in love. They are, they're
pretty.
They're a nice couple, but they are a boring couple to watch because there is no interesting interaction.
They seem to be written as the stable husband and wife.
Exactly.
Which is stable and. Yeah.
This kind of relationship would be terrible. It should be a little bit like okay, I'm taking away topics of future videos of mine. It should be a little bit like the fan fiction Allegrezza. It's a shipping fiction about Octavia and Vinyl, and the good thing is, at the start, the two characters are playing off each other because of their differences. Yeah. Then they grow closer. This is not really a spoiler. Well, it's a shipping fiction, so they grow closer and...
A shipping fiction where no one gets together.
Exactly.
That contradicts what a shipping fiction is.
Yeah, and big spoiler, surprise, no? Stunning revelation, they kind of get together. Haven't seen this one coming, falling in love. And the great thing about this story is they are still playing off each other's differences in the end. So they don't become boring at the moment they are a couple. No, they are as entertaining, fighting all the time, still having this entertaining fights between each other they have in the beginning of the story. But now they are just a couple and they fight a different way, but that's the way. So, still having two characters who can interact in an interesting way, but yes, as a couple, instead of just one scene or something. This is a way I could imagine it to work and still be good. So they first have to have good, interesting characters who have a nice chemistry. Then they need an interesting story, because even if it is a slice of life story, it shouldn't be boring. So there should be a little bit of conflict, but well, if the characters are different enough, the conflict shouldn't be the problem. And yeah, then they could make an episode, but they shouldn't do it with any of those aspects missing.
The thing is, again, it's always you write story first and any relationships afterwards. And this, of course, the story of this relationship developing or changing or anything has to be told in 20 minutes. Which is pretty difficult. Like, if you said it was just the beginning of Sonic Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy episode, then it might feel a bit out of place, because you sort of just got Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash for some reason, and they sort of get closer together in that scene, and then bam, right back to something else completely unrelated, or it doesn't have so much juxtaposition to what's going on. So, if you're wanting to have a really deep kind of character analysis like that, you would have to have it as sort of it working throughout the whole 20-minute episode. I mean, the best area for this kind of thing would probably be a 40-minute episode.
Yeah.
The beginning or the end of the seasons, where you actually have the characters going through some trials and tribulations, where you have them bouncing off one another.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be maybe working, but then
you would have the main six, and Hasbro wouldn't probably allow the main six to change that drastically.
I still don't know. You can play it subtle if they are going to.
Well, not like a full-blown relationship. You could have some of the six becoming much closer or better friends, but I'm not sure you'd have a full-blown relationship or anything like that.
Are you talking about inside the main six or even a seventh character? Because inside the main six, yeah, that would throw off the dynamics. That's right. But if one of them has a relationship outside the main six, I guess this would probably be capable to. They should be capable of making it work without changing the whole dynamic inside the group.
Well, it's going to be quite difficult in introducing a seventh character whose role is to get into a strong relationship with one of the main six.
Yeah, yeah. I guess it should be. It should be more of a long-term thing, I guess. So if you're really trying to do
that's
this,
what I'm saying. That you come up with stories that interest the writers, and if they ever find a story where the main six can get in any relationship, it might be interesting if they actually go down that avenue rather than avoiding it. They did it with Rarity. That her life dream was, to follow the prince, but they did twist it so that the prince was a complete jackass, and she said, "Yeah, I can't be bothered with that."
Yeah,
but you see, twist. Yeah, something like that is quite an interesting way of going at things. So you could have, some rogue dashing swordsman sort of appear, in episodes or something.
Would feel unnatural. So you don't get to know somebody completely new within 20 minutes and grow so close and start a relationship. This is really very. I see the problem here. I guess the
other thing is, like I said, that you build up the background characters, because then those ones you're not so committed to them. Mm-hmm. So if they go in a relationship, they're not on screen most of the time anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Alternative way would be, I guess, to make it really. If you have one writer, this one writer, that he will make, I don't know, 3 episodes throughout the season, and this one writer gets at the beginning of the season when all the writers come together. I don't know how it really works, but I imagine it like this now.
It works with Megan McCarthy as the head writer. He gives the premises to each of the writers and tells them roughly what has happened in previous episodes, if there's any big changes that they need to write or account for.
Okay. So when you have this McCarthy, the head writer, and at the beginning of the season he says, okay, we have this good idea. This is important, the good idea first. No? We have this good idea for pairing up Rainbow Dash with Thorian. So I want at the beginning of the season Thorian moving to Ponyville and...
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. I've only read it.
The point about Thorian, why I had him on my mind first, was it is not such a far-fetched idea. You don't have to take a completely new character out of nowhere. It is a character who has very few connection to Rainbow Dash so far, and
we've only seen like once.
Yeah, exactly. So it is not surprising that they are not connected. So there's not too much connection yet that had to be rewritten. So too much history that had to be rewritten. And
well, if we had like a proper Wonderbolts episode, then maybe you could have something like that going along with it.
Yeah, for example, or I don't know if for example, yes, after Wonderbolts Academy. It is kind of established that Rainbow Dash takes further steps of becoming Wonderbolt, and her mentor or tutor is Thorian from now on. And so they meet.
I can't see Soren in the boot camp environment.
No, not in the boot camp. The boot camp is only this 1 week. After this, the Wonderbolts are very cool. Believe me.
The Wonderbolt Academy isn't canon in your head.
I don't want to go
to blame you.
We have been there too often already. You don't like it, I like it.
After the stream, yes. You see? Bloody Wonderbolts.
Anyways, okay. Not sorry. Let's take Thunderlane. But Thunderlane is...
Does it like Rainbow Dash hate Thunderlane? Oh, great. I love-hate relationship. We haven't seen enough of those.
Okay.
Well, that's what I'm going to say, though, that you know, what is the one thing we think of when, like, you're thinking of a story written around a relationship?
Yeah.
Rom-com.
Rom-com?
Romantic comedies.
Okay.
Which generally most people dislike.
Yeah. Okay. Where was it originally going before you?
So yeah. You're talking about your rom-com.
Yes, I did. Well, yeah, the idea how they could set it up. There is this one particular male character I don't want to go into because it doesn't matter who I am.
Oh wait. What you have is Rainbow Dash gets involved. It gets interested in Thunderlane, and when they start dating, Thunderlane says he has 12 evil exes.
I like this movie, so go ahead. I like where you're going with that idea.
Well, you see, even if the in Scott Pilgrim is the one I'm referencing, by the way, is
who didn't get the reference?
Yeah, if you know, at least in Scott Pilgrim though, yeah, it has the central thing is the relationship, but at least you've got 12 big action fight scenes or whatever to, you know, to also have something going along, have something interesting going on. When you have just a pure about romance rom-com, it's often very painful, boring to watch. It's often difficult to try and make the characters interesting.
Yeah.
Because all you're doing is sort of watching two people bumble around everyday life and just talk to one another, which doesn't make for a naturally interesting story.
Yeah. So better idea would be the long-term solution. So you don't make a whole episode about it, focusing on it, but you establish that, okay, throughout the next season, these characters are supposed to just grow a bit grow closer, and
if this show was, you know, not serial in the sense it just followed one after one, had like an epic story or something going on, then there's great potential for developing interesting character relationships. But in the serial kind of thing, the problem is now in every single episode you have a different writer. And the way the characters feel and how much they're actually going to be in that episode is going to be completely different. So if you're saying the characters get slightly better between, you know, more closer every episode,
that's
not very hard to tell your writers from up on high.
Yeah. Of course, they couldn't be in every episode, but if the head writer goes there and has two of the other writers, and they all three are on the same page about how this relationship is going to develop, they just have to, or the head writer just has to tell all the other writers, hey, if you want to put the character in there, don't give it a too big role, and
well, that's the thing, though, that you...
It's a difficult task, it is. I don't say it will...
If you take, for example, Season 3, though, the first 2 episodes is by the head writer.
Yeah.
Then the next episode's by another writer. The next episode's by another writer. Another writer is the next episode. A completely different writer for the next episode. Next episode, completely different writer. All these in sequence, all 6 of them. And then we go back to the fourth one.
Of the two.
Yeah, we come back to the 4th one, and then we come back to these 2.
But you have to.
You have 6 writers, all of whom have to be on the same page on. They're acting slightly different to one another. That, you know, those slight subtle changes in how people you're going to write the characters is very difficult to give from that kind of organizational structure.
But it is difficult. I'm not saying that it would be an easy task, and that's maybe the way why they should take the long-term solution, or make a mix, give it a little bit of build-up in a few earlier episodes. So let it be a character, let the love interest be a character who is just occasionally.
Well, I mean, it's really about you have to just sort of say what 2 characters are you putting together. So one easy way they could have done it, is they tell the storyboardists to put in the background 2 background characters being shown together more and more frequently, or in more, you know, romantic situations.
Yeah.
And you could sort of show as time goes on, your background people are changing.
Lie around, bong bong.
Something like that, yeah, or
I forgot.
the hooves.
Brony Curious just told me yesterday that there's one episode where can be seen a lot of interaction between those two in the background. But I forgot which episode it was, and now I'm kind of... God damn it.
I can't remember it, no.
Me neither. And it was... I was referring to the scene in Magical Duel, where you see Lyra standing there with this... and Bobo is just standing next to her, looking at her, so like, what are you doing again? In this regard, Brony Curious told me that there was one episode in the second season where they can be seen in the background and interacting as well a lot with another of these drinks and helping each other, and Lyra is all going, human again, and
well,
yes.
That's what I'm saying, though, is that actually you have a little internal mental plot of what the background characters are doing.
Man, yeah, this is more like
that you get an idea of what those background characters are.
Yeah, but this feels more like an Easter egg for people who start watching in the background.
Yeah, but it's one easy way of doing it without having to spend a lot of time and effort on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still think that if they handle it good, it would be possible in Canon to include shipping, even with all the different writers, if they kind of try to be on the same page. Yeah. But it shouldn't be forced, you're right on this one.
I mean, one easy way of doing it, though, would be to have a character change. So perhaps you have two of the characters wanting to do sleepovers, or similar to what they did for Rainbow Dash, she wants to now read books.
Okay.
So, I mean, you could do that perhaps with the main six or something to, do a social event like sleepovers together, and they really enjoy it. So then later on, they always go. You hear them mentioning doing sleepovers or whatnot, and that sleepover has some meaning in terms of their relationships to one another.
Yeah.
And so they grow. They are obviously grown closer together, but you don't need to outright tell the writers tell them. Well, they're slightly closer together now, so give them 20% closeness more.
It should be 20% closer.
Yeah, but you see, at least then if they have, all of them are talking about the events of the day, and then those two talk about the sleepover, it gives us an obvious sense of progression.
Yeah. Oh, nice bit. Would be a nice way. Anyway, something else I wanted to talk about. Something you mentioned earlier when we talked about the idea for the topic of this one.
Okay.
The way you can interpret, what you can tell about people shipping particular couples, about the people.
Oh, right.
Analyze us. Do it.
Well, I have to think about it first. I mean... I think I mentioned this before, didn't I? Where I said it's interesting, at least so someone mentioned shipping, and what's the first thing that jumps into someone's head?
Like the couple, or
yeah, what couples do they think of, or which ones do they think of first, or which ones do they particularly empathize with? Could have a reflection on their particular personalities or interests.
Okay. So
yeah, if someone, I don't know, is very, it's a matter of empathy sometimes, that someone could be very much like Rainbow Dash, and they could very much like people who are shy, so they go for Rainbow Shy.
Okay.
I just made that for the top of my head.
I get it. Rainbow Shy is such an awkward couple in my...
Yeah, I know. That was the thing.
But
some people actually think of that one. And it could be that they're like one of the characters, and like in the other character, that they can sort of see that couple working or not, or they can start imagining it.
They're identifying with the one character and are interested in the other, so they start shipping the two together. Yeah.
There's the potential for that, yeah.
Okay, now I'm trying to find the common aspect of all the ships I support. What does this say about me?
Oh dear.
Oh dear. I'm so lost.
I mean, a lot of couples like Octavia
Because I believe Octavia Vinyl is just the
it's the fandom one.
yeah, but not the only fandom one. No, it's kind of it's instant interesting because the very few glances, because you have to face the fact that if there are two background ponies, we have seen only for seconds in 3 seasons. In those two, every single background pony has by now more screen time than those two combined. But still.
Well, we've ascribed entire lives and personalities to them when all they've done is like generally play musical instruments.
Great, yeah, it's just the way they are presented and the style they appear in that everybody associates their characters a lot, like Vinyl being the hip kind of freaky DJ type, while Octavia is this stiff and very stiff is it's a stiff and very serious type, and everybody thinks, hey, DJ, he is having a little bit, and she's living a more.
They both occupied the same kind of spot in the fandom,
exactly,
so they sort of, oddly enough, drifted together in the fandom as well.
Yeah, and the point that they are so different, or so at least they are pictured this different, makes them instant interesting because seeing a couple like Cadence and Shining Armor, they fit perfectly together. That's boring to watch.
Yeah.
On the other hand, we have these two ponies who have a relation.
Completely opposite in terms of what we've ascribed them.
Exactly. They have the connection, music, but on the other hand, they seem to be completely different, and you are like, hey, seeing them play off each other would be interesting. Let's ship them.
And that's what I've liked about, the Musicians of Ponyville animation. Have you seen that one?
Yeah. But this one, they're just roommates, so.
Yeah, but I do like even as roommates as friends, that they are completely opposite people, but they are still living under the same roof and get on fairly well.
Well, she is great. I mean, she cleans the dishes every morning. The only problem is she does it with wops. So awesome.
Oh yeah, this thing cleans it on a microscopic scale. They said you couldn't clean dishes with wops, and I said, screw that, I'm Vinyl Scratch.
But the fun fact, it is actually possible, because there's an what is it? There is an ultrasonic cleaning device for glasses. So when you go to your
screwdriver, you say?
No.
Yeah, I know you can actually clean it with sonic waves, but
exactly.
It's not that particularly efficient. But you could imagine her doing that.
But when you go to the optician, he can put your glasses into this water bath where is the ultrasonic in there. And when he gets it out, the glasses are clean, so it kind of works. And so actually, you could clean your dishes with ultrasonic. And if you wops produce ultrasonics, here we go. Scientifically proved.
The other cool moment that they had was sort of like, and I've seen this reflected in some comics as well, was like, it was Vinyl Scratch saying why she liked Octavia. She could be really cool. It was like they go to one scene and it's like, hey, do you want the rest of the sandwich?
Yeah. This day, she taught me what real friendship means.
Yes. And they've always sort of liked that. So I've seen it. I think I've seen it twisted where it's like someone's asking Octavia why you like vinyl. Mm-hmm. And she goes, and then it was a comic, so it just goes to a thought bubble when it shows Vinyl being, kind to her and scene after scene after scene, and she just goes, just because. So even though they are completely opposite, they're still very kind to one another.
Yeah, why shouldn't they? It's all about friendship. Yay!
Yeah.
I'd like to analyze a few more couples, what they mean.
I mean, the other obvious fandom one that of characters we know of is the Hooves of Derpy and Dr. Hooves.
Oh, god damn it, another one I support. You're just trying to play off me, aren't you? God.
Yeah, I'm not much into the shipping stuff. You are, so this whole podcast is about you.
I'm not. Thanks a lot. I'm not so much into shipping myself.
Says Mr. who spent a lot of time making a video on it.
Yeah, but it was less about actually
the actual shipping and just what you thought of it.
Yeah, it was less about telling people what ships are great. It was really more my general opinion, and the fact that I kind of put the ships I actually do support or like or whatever in there was just a small feature. By the way,
yeah.
So. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doctor Who. I believe the first thing is that you have to be a Doctor Who fan, because otherwise you just see Time Turner, the Earth Pony, with Hourglass and nothing more.
Yeah. Well, you know, his Doctor Who's personality is derived off the Doctor.
Mm.
So you sort of have to at least have an understanding of who the Doctor is, or roughly is, at any rate, to understand the relationship.
Yeah.
The personalities behind it. And you have to understand what people think of Derpy generally as well. But again, Derpy was just one animation error in the first episode of the first season.
Mm-hmm. But it became a regular thing pretty soon.
Yeah, the fandom picked it up and DHX Studios picked it up.
Mm-hmm.
And they always want to do the eyes. And that was basically the only personality they gave to her. But we gave her to being a mailmare and a bit of a klutz, but you know, very kind-hearted and whatnot, and loves muffins.
Out of nowhere, she's the mother of Dinky.
Oh yeah.
I still haven't figured out where this comes from. I have no idea where this whole.
I think it was just that there were similar colors. I can't remember now.
Yeah, I believe the main color was the same, so everybody said, yeah, she may be a unicorn and Derpy the Pegasus, but well. Now she's her mother.
Well, we do know that unless you're in the Apple family, genetics is more complicated.
Because in the Apple family, everybody is an Earth Pony.
Yes, and they have never married out of their own race.
Exactly. And if you have a horn or wings...
Racist barn, 1, 2, 3, 4.
And if you are born with a horn or with wings, then you...
into a scootaloo with you.
I was going for cutting off the horn in the ring, and yeah.
Well, you would still be genetically Pegasi unicorn.
Yeah, but
if you continue being part of the family, your children will also have to have their bits cut off.
Yeah.
So that's really impractical. And for the size of the family and how little control they seem to have over it, it seems most likely that they are only Earth.
Or
only marry Earth.
Or the modified Earth or the artificial Earth ponies in the family are not allowed to breed.
Maybe. That's very far speculation. I don't think the show thought that they cut off any horns or wings.
I don't know. For example, it would explain why Applejack is always wearing her hat. She has to cover up her the stump of her horn.
She gets her hat knocked off though, and we don't see any stump.
Yeah, she has long hair, so yeah, but it is just if the hair is not in place, she has still the head. Or Rayburn, for example, he maybe even was an alicorn because he had a head and a vest covering everything.
This would be an interesting twist to Applejack's character. She's just secretly always been a unicorn this whole time. What?
I like that.
It would make it interesting. You could have her secret becoming revealed to like 1 or 2, and she goes absolutely crazy about it. Though it does make the Apple family racists, which I don't think the show goes with the show's tone or feel.
I'm just having the idea of choosing the name for the podcast afterwards. And right now I'm thinking about naming the third episode Shipping/Racism.
Yeah, racism came up very quickly, didn't it?
Yeah. This will not be a problem at all, I'm sure.
No, people won't just jump the boat as soon as they see the...
I guess I should check if I'm already losing subscribers while we are podcasting this.
Yes. Well, I mean, this is what I was talking about with you before at one point, was like, after the Apple family reunion, I was like, why is it they are all Earth ponies? Because I remember I saw someone just put, on the title card of his remix, Racist Barn. I was like, oh yeah, it does sound like that. Well, don't worry, they aren't racists. Wait a minute. Let me think about that. They are all Earth ponies, they're all the same color, and we know that genetics can be incredibly divorced from, the immediate family. So how does that make any sense? That they must, it would only make sense that they only breed with other Earth ponies who are obsessed with apples. Because no one else in the family, it seems to be interested in things beyond apples.
What is
other than Aunt and Uncle Orange? Well, did we see them in the reunion?
No, they are the black sheeps, or
they
are the oranges of the Apple family. Yeah,
they went into oranges, outcasts.
Exactly. But they went into oranges in the big city, so... That's kind of confusing.
Well, double blasphemy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but maybe a possible explanation for them all being Earth ponies is more like they all are very into their work, and their work is Earth pony work, so farming and stuff is usually an Earth pony thing, and so it's like they just primarily meet other Earth ponies. They connect easier to them because this is... now we are...
It could be, but wouldn't it be... I mean, wouldn't even a few Pegasi or unicorns possibly be interested in farming and still do a fairly good job?
Yeah, that's the thing of simplifying. They kind of have to do because of the 20-minute format and kids watching and stuff.
They didn't particularly... I think the reason why isn't because they thought about how the Apple family works and operates. No. More what they've done is... Well, the apples that we do know are Earth ponies, and everyone that they're related to must be similar colors, and they must also be Earth ponies. So just keep putting random background Earth ponies in, or randomly generated Earth ponies that we quite like the aesthetics of. They didn't think, let's add a unicorn or Pegasi in there, or make any of them radically different.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing.
They're all homogeneous and monotone, which unfortunately does imply racism, but it wasn't done on purpose.
I still can go with the explanation that they are just, because like it is with humans in the real life as well, because you usually easier connect to people who do equal things you do and who have an equal lifestyle, and so doctors end up with other doctors, I don't know, designers with other designers, and so on, and so...
well, we're living in a world, though, where people could be any color very quickly, and they could be any race very quickly. It's all homogeneous, but in this sense, they're actually all a select group of very similar stuff, which is a little bit off, but it's just because they they wanted to make it obviously visual apparent that they were family by having them all the same race and color.
Yeah.
It wasn't done with any negative idea of thoughts about it.
Simplification of the issue, so...
Yeah, it's so simple, it just happens to have some unfortunate implications.
If there wouldn't be this giant fandom of adult people who think more critical about stuff, then nobody would ever have come up with racist part. Yeah. That's a blessing and the curse of MLP, the Brony fandom.
Well, I think, like I said, there is some really interesting stories you could do by having a story about a family. Because families aren't always all the same, and they aren't always all have the same aspirations. You have people from many different ages, jobs, and backgrounds, all bouncing off one another. And Apple Family Reunion, everyone is perfectly happy, everyone is perfectly does the same job, and everyone is very much the same.
Ooh, but there are very few scientists. Remember the Zeppelin?
Scientists? Hmm?
Remember the Zeppelin?
Does that make them scientists?
I believe so. I haven't seen any Zeppelin like.
We've seen balloon.
Yeah, but this was just a hot air balloon.
Zeppelin is very similar to a hot air balloon, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was more. It looked more technical. So.
Well,
I pictured
it's a different shaped balloon with a different harness at the bottom.
Yeah, but do you really have to start?
The difference of a Zeppelin from a balloon is a balloon you need to be able to make a strong enough, big enough canvas to hold all the hot air. A Zeppelin requires you to build a much bigger canvas and to put wooden ribbing inside of it. And then hanging stuff off it is a similar task. I'm not an expert on these things, but that's my guessing of why Zeppelins took longer to make than hot air balloons. But Zeppelins were still around for a while.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, I'll have the Zeppelin in a second.
I know Zeppelins are at least 100 years old.
Yeah, but I believe the whole way... Oh, there it is. Stop it! Ah! No, come on. Again. So, here's the Zeppelin. And why it is more technical... Wait, where? Screen share. There we go. Okay. What is more technical about it is the fact that you have a propeller at the back. They all have to wear their glasses. It looks more like something scientific than the balloon who just lifts up in the air.
Because they can't just buy a Zeppelin made by someone else. And the glasses.
Everybody else.
Does that make all the Wonderbolt scientists because they wear those goggles? Or does that make anyone who's making a tornado when they wear all those goggles scientists?
Exactly. No, but...
Or maybe is it just that you're in the sky and you're moving around, so you wear goggles?
But why don't they need the goggles on the hot air balloon?
They just seem to... I think they're just wearing goggles because they have been flying. That's why they put them in the show. They put a cool Zeppelin with them wearing goggles on it. Yeah, I don't see why that makes them scientists.
Yeah,
and them being scientists isn't even the point. Isn't the main point of the show? Though the main point of that episode was Applejack trying too hard. Remember what I said though? I said that we wanted some, people of different backgrounds and stuff that could create some interesting conflict.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in the end,
them coming down in the hot air in the Zeppelin isn't conflict.
Yeah, exactly, because even if they would be some kind of different people, they don't go there anymore. They just show them arrive in the...
they arrive by different means, that's as far as we can sort of really say.
Yeah, and they don't do anything with this. It's just for, literally only 1 or 2 seconds you see them arrive.
No snide marks about, oh look, they're just coming in style on purpose now.
Yeah. Even so, there seems to be a little bit different background because nobody else in the family cares about this kind of stuff. But, well, they're not going anywhere with it, so no reason discussing if they are scientists or not.
They could just obviously hire a Zeppelin.
Yeah.
I don't think even as a scientist, you're not traveling around in the Zeppelin all day.
No, I'm thinking more of them like the idolized version of the adventurous scientists. Not like a scientist.
This is a lot of personality to ascribe to arriving in a Zeppelin,
Yeah, that's the way I watch the show. You can enjoy it a lot more when you watch it with a little bit more fantasy as well.
Well, here's a question then. Why are they wearing goggles? I mean, are they going to cloud heights, or is it just they like wearing goggles?
Apparently this thing can fly a lot faster than the hot air balloon, so they need goggles because of the Technic in there.
Ah, so you say it's for speed, okay. And how does that propeller get powered? Isn't it going to hit those wing thingies at the back?
Probably. I'm not a scientist myself. I don't know how it works, but apparently it does.
Well, that propeller has to be hoof-powered.
I don't know.
Do they have an internal power source? It doesn't look like it. And we haven't heard of any internal combustion engines or steam engines.
Yeah, they're not showing it.
And there's no unicorn magic.
I just wanted to say, maybe one of them is a unicorn with a very small horn hidden below the hair.
But we have seen in the Crystal Empire that if the rest of your horn isn't able to be used because it's blocked by black crystals, you can't do anything.
Yeah, but this was a blocked horn. I'm talking about a very tiny horn. Here, if you take a look.
This relies on our other canon idea of them being racists. So, to be able to power this by magic, they have to be racists. What?
I just disproved the racist theory, because when you look at this mayor's hair, there could easily be a hidden horn below here. It's just a style decision, so she doesn't show her horn. So I'm totally still going with the scientist idea and with the unicorn idea. You can go with your racist farm people.
No, you've said that they are scientists and they cut off horns at birth. I've said that they chose all of them to be Earth ponies because they look similar, and they chose the Zeppelin because it's a mode of transport.
Your first version was that they are racists.
No, I said that when thinking about it in depth, that, you know, they could actually be racists, but it's obviously not what the show's going for.
No.
And then when I mentioned racists, you say, "Oh yeah, that could totally work. They just shaved their horns off."
Yeah, because you raised the question, why there are no offsprings with horns and wings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they just chose them all to be Earth ponies because we have to hit people over the head with their all family.
Yeah.
But
as well.
But yeah, unless they only marry Earth ponies, then they have to do the mutilation route. Blah blah blah.
Mm.
The mutilation and non-marrying, non-reproductive outcasts.
Mm. Or it's a little bit like the Black family in Harry Potter, but, well, completely different topic!
Who minds about that?
Yeah, but anyways, I just having a look at the watch, on the clock.
Yep.
But I don't know, we still have a few minutes, but the question, do we have another topic that will not drag too long, but on the other hand, fits where we are right now.
Have you thought of, I mean, I was trying to think of, in the show, is there any we could say that would be a good shipping? Say, if we could give some advice to, one of the writers of the show for next season.
Okay.
And we just came up with our own crazy theory of how we could include shipping. What would you say?
Focusing, including main six or more supportive cast? Or
I don't know. I was saying, is there, if we had them in the same room, what would we say to them in regards to shipping?
More or less what I already. My opinion is more or less what I already said.
That you want Rainbow Dash to be straight, one of the others to be gay.
This would be the cherry on top. Yes. No, that shipping in general. It is important that the show stays true to its beginnings. That there is not a big focus on it, because if it turns into a show that is all about shipping and relationships, and this wouldn't be true to the beginning, and I guess they will lose their fans quite quickly if they start focusing on this. But
if you're going to take it in the direction of shipping, you got to do it right.
Yeah, and even so, it is not allowed to be a focus of the whole series as a thing. So it may, but on the other hand, it should be in there. It should have a possible place in there, just possible. No? It is because the show is trying to deal with a lot of aspects of life, and relationships are an aspect of it. And a bland relationship like Cadence and Shining Armor is, it shows that there actually are relationships, like the Cakes, for example. They are also.
They're just a standard
couple.
Yeah,
but
couple.
Yeah, but they are just there as a couple, and you don't really, as a viewer, you don't really experience anything about being a couple, being in relationships, and dealing with stuff around it, because there is a lot of potential. But it should be a once in a while thing, I guess. And
I think, they should only do it if they feel really secure in this being the route to take.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think it's probably a lot better to leave it to the fandom.
Mm-hmm.
I like that in the fandom, that what we do is we expand upon their universe that they've created, and things like what couples are what isn't set down in stone.
Yeah.
That they carry on with the direction they do. I mean, the only change I might be interested that they could do is to bring forth some more secondary characters to flesh out the world that our people live in. At the moment, it's the main 6, Spike, a few minors here and there, but there hasn't been a time where we just have a few normal people that we talk to. There could be potential in expanding into having secondary characters who then you could do some stuff with.
Yeah. And I believe it would even be in the interest of Hasbro, because having more character means more toys to sell.
Exactly. That people would, you assign Colgate a personality in the show, and that then people could actually start empathizing with her and actually thinking of her as more than a copy-paste background character.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is that you would have to try and not anger the bronies who have already made up a whole complex interweb of who these characters are. Like we always think of Colgate, you think of her being obsessed with teeth and toothpaste, which would be a little bit weird in the show. So yeah, that's I think the direction they've taken with it has been pretty good thus far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
The relationships they have shown have been quite good, and where they've done a good twist on them and they've made them interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And by keeping and not doing relationships, they have made sure that the stories they are telling are good, that they aren't being detracted by spending time trying to show the two characters being more friendly with one another.
Mm. Well, I still think it has potential for the future, because before they are running out of ideas, I guess they should go there as well.
At the bottom of the barrel. Oh dear.
They shouldn't wait until it is the last solution, because if they already took everything else out of the barrel and just have relationships left, we reach this point I described earlier as the point we don't want to reach, where the only content of the series becomes relationships, like G2.
What I think for us to have more potential of having interesting characters and dynamics, I want the universe to be expanded. It might also be cool if Hasbro would like to change it to not a serial show, but a epic story show, where you have a whole season is one episode follows off for another.
I would be totally in for this. This would be awesome. Like Dexter, for example. Dexter has always a meta story arc for one season, but on the one hand, but on the other hand, he also has kind of episodic features in the single episode. So he has this short-term antagonist he has to deal with, this short-term problem for one episode only, and but there's still this general threat, his general main antagonist for the season he has to deal with, and this kind of mixture, I guess, would be a nice idea, but they have to make this work in an MLP. They really would have to change the way they write the season now.
My central point, though, is that I want the world to be fleshed out, so that any relationships that obviously sink in from that consequence of the fleshed out world, it has its place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And having a fleshed out world will make the place more interesting and make it more involving to us, the fans.
Mm-hmm. That's a good thought. I guess that's a very nice last statement for today.
Yep, blarg.
Blarg. Oh no, now blarg became the last statement again. Oh, god damn it. Well, this was the third episode of Crepuscular Bronies Discuss. We are trying to end this episode more professional than we started it.
Blarg.
Oh, I really hate you. If you want to check out Byters' written reviews, you have to go to DeviantArts and look for his profile. I believe Byters75.
Yep.
Byter75 on DeviantArts. I'll put the link to his account in the description of this video as well. For my videos, you are already at the right point. So,
right channel, yep.
Yeah, at the right channel, exactly. So here you can find the usual reviews of episodes, of upcoming reviews of fan fictions, and, well, a lot of different random stuff, including this podcast.
A lot of blog.
Exactly. So, with this said, see you soon.
You guys.